Doug Peterson does a regular appearance on WIP in Philly, and I guess he was emotional, and he said, quote,
I'm with myself, I'm with the way we played, and it's just, it frustrates me. We have too much pride. You can blame it on me. I'm a big guy. I can handle it. That's fine.
That team stinks from top to bottom. Carson Wentz, he's been flat out bad, and he is unquestionably part of the problem, but he just might be part of the solution. Nothing else there is.
Still I cry tears of a hustler, wipe tears from my mother, pull out beers for my
Good Tuesday morning. Safe to say it certainly isn't in Philadelphia. If you're an Eagles fan, this is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin coming to you live from the Seaport District at Pier 17. We're brought to you by Chase. We've got the Super Bowl champion Chris Canty in this morning. Jay will be with us in about an hour or so, 8:10 a.m. Eastern, to talk a little NBA draft. He'll be center stage on that tomorrow night on ESPN. So it's great to be here, bookended by a pair of Super Bowl champions, Keyshawn Johnson and Chris Canty. You heard Mike Greenberg just going off there moments ago on what's going on with the Eagles. And this morning, we're asking everybody on our Twitter feed, who deserves the most blame for the clear regression of Carson Wentz? You heard Greeny say there, it's not Wentz's fault, but clearly he's moving backwards. Whose fault is it? Wentz? Greeny's not going there. Doug Peterson, who you're about to hear from in a firestorm in a moment. Hang tight for that. Or the front office general manager and executive vice president, Howie Roseman. Early returns in. 63% of you have said, put it on Wentz. And here's the best rationale of all. At NJ_Cole, at NJ_J Cole, hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed. Quote, QBs get all the money, all the glory, and all the blame. And he added a shrug emoji. Essentially, if you're going to get all that money, you get all the praise, you get all the blame. Key is essentially kind of agreeing with that, I think. Key, your quick thoughts. Chris, your quick thoughts. And then you're going to hear some real fire from Doug Peterson.
It falls on the shoulders of the quarterback. Right? They say that these quarterbacks get all the glory, the praise when we win, right? And you get all the money. You're the highest paid guy on the team. You're the guy. And we talk about the great quarterbacks make everybody, no matter who it is around them, better. So make everybody around you better.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be a force multiplier with what they're paying him. That's why they gave him the contract extension. But when Carson Wentz this year, I mean, I think he's got a little bit of that Jameis Winston in him because he's leading the league in interceptions and fumbles. Indeed. So, I mean, you can try to blame the coaching staff. You can try to blame the other players on the team. But ultimately, the responsibility is on Carson Wentz. He has to be accountable. And the reality is that hasn't been what he's been doing all season with his play. I mean, I watched that game on Sunday when they played the Giants. And to be honest, they were dominated by the Giants. Like, that game wasn't competitive from the Philadelphia Eagles. They came out in the second half with a little more energy, but the offense still wasn't able to get into a flow, and you have to put that on the quarterback. I don't know why people want to try to blame Doug Peterson for it in the play calling. This is on Carson Wentz. Something's not right with him. He's got to figure out a way to get right. We saw that at the end of last year when he won the last 4 straight games and got his team to the postseason when they were depleted with injuries. Injuries has been a big part of the story for the Eagles in the first half of that season. But they're starting to get healthy now. On Sunday, they had both of their starting tackles. They got Jalen Reagor back. They got Alshon Jeffrey back. They got Miles Sanders back. So there are no more excuses for Carson Wentz. He got to start balling.
Here's what I would say. Is he having played in an offense and been a receiver? Somebody's open on every single play. He has to find that person. Somebody's open on every single play. He has to find the person.
For $128 million, that seems like the least he could do. That's a lot of money, just not to James Harden. That's a lot of money to indeed Carson Wentz and anybody else. So here we go. We're asking the poll question essentially this morning, who's to blame? Out in Philly, where the team is so popular and it bleeds green, it's part of the DNA, a very provincial town. They essentially asked the same sort of poll question. There is culpability. Who has the culpability? Listen to this, setting it up with the question, and then longtime radio host Angelo Cataldi. He's been in Philadelphia for a long time, highly respected. He and Peterson get into it.
Who do you blame the most for the Eagles' 10-point loss to the Giants? 72% coaching.
Interesting. Head coach of the Eagles, Doug Peterson. Hi, Doug.
Good morning, Angelo. Thanks for the lead-in. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry. That was just...
That was awesome.
I know.
Hey, listen, that just puts me in a great mood today. Already in a good mood. I appreciate it.
Oh, I kind of felt you probably wouldn't be in a good mood.
Can I hang up now?
No, please don't, Doug.
I'm feeling my obligation right now. If I hang up, I feel my obligation.
Doug, I fully understand.
I'm Angelo.
All right, what about Doug?
I'm with myself. I'm with the way we played. And it's just it frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end. And we have too much pride, and I have too much pride. These players have too much pride. We work our off during the week. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. And blame it on me all you want. I'll handle it with the players. You can blame it on me. I'm a big guy. I can handle it. That's fine. But we're self-inflicting ourselves. We are killing ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. All those cliche little statements is still showing up, and it's frustrating.
Wow. Wow is the only thing I can say. What do you think, Key?
He's frustrated. That's what he said. I mean, like, if look, you're going to be frustrated when you go on an interview and the first thing 72% of the people in that interview you're hearing, there's some coaches, they hear it or whatever the case may be and they try to ignore it, but clearly he hears it loud and he doesn't want to ignore it because he understands that he hasn't necessarily, it's not on him. He's put him in the right position, but as a coach, he's not going to throw his team and his quarterback underneath the bus. He's just not going to do that. At least that coach won't do it. So I think what he has to do is he has to get Carson to play better. And they've got to win. They lost to the Giants, man. And I told y'all the Giants might win the division. You laughed at me. I told you this. But now you're like, yeah, the Giants might win the division.
Well, we got to ask a former Giant about that, too, because that's a very interesting conversation. What do you make of the Doug Peterson back-to-back? And then let's just jump into Key's assertion that at 1-7, Key said the Giants could win the division. Obviously, getting a win over Philadelphia would put them closer to getting there like they did last week. But let's just go one at a time. What did you make of that straight fire there from Doug Peterson?
Well, he's clearly frustrated, and I think it has to do with the play that he's gotten from his quarterback. And there really is no other alternative for the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they got to dance with the girl that brought him. Carson Wentz is their guy. Once Howie Roseman gave him that extension and moved on from Nick Foles, it was going to be Carson Wentz's team. But this isn't how he anticipated Carson Wentz playing in a year where the NFC East is down. I mean, the Eagles, just based on talent and experience, should have a stranglehold on this division. I mean, through week 9, this has been the worst division since the 1984 AFC Central. At 9-24-1. So, I mean, at some point, you're expecting a quarterback that has been a part of a championship team to be able to galvanize the locker room and be able to get the guys to play a little bit better. But, I mean, Carson Wentz has been a big part of why the Philadelphia Eagles have not realized the expectations that they had coming into this season.
Ooh, that was an ugly throw.
Let's go to the second portion. Keyshawn told me on the radio show at 1-7 that the Giants were playing hard. You had made a previous appearance on the show and said outside of the 49er game, they really hadn't been blown out. They've been hanging tight, just don't have enough plays to win. Daniel Jones has been much cleaner with the ball the last couple games. That's really obvious. The fumbles and interceptions the last couple have been cut down significantly. I understand they're 1-7. I thought it was absolutely nuts. You're playing 6 games in your division. You still have to play 10 games outside of the division, and the quality of competition there is likely going to be much higher. Can the Giants, now sitting at 3-7 with nobody in the division, Chris, nobody at the division playing 400 football, never mentioned 500, nobody's playing 400 football.